Find the least common multiple of each set of numbers. So remember, one way you can do that is start with some prime factorization-ish stuff. What goes into 4 and 8? 4. So 4 is 4 times 1. We don't need to write the 4 or the 1. 8 is 4 times 2. They have the 4 in common. Bring it down. All we have left is the 2. So remember, we just bring down all the leftovers. 4 times 2 is 8. 9 and 18, they have a 9 in common. This is 9 times 2. They have the 9 in common. Bring it down. All we have left is a 2, so bring it down. 18 is the least common multiple. 2 and 5 don't have anything in common, so you could just multiply them. 2 times 5 is 10. This would be 10, n. 3, 6, and 9, they have a 3 in common. 3 times 2. 3 times 3. They have a 3 in common, bring it down. All that we have left are 2 and 3. They don't have anything in common, so just bring them down. 3 times 2 is 6, times 3 is 18. So 18 would be the lowest common multiple. We're going to be adding and subtracting fractions today, and you have to have that same denominator to do it. So you're always wanting to look for the lowest common multiple. It'll make your life easier. You can use larger multiples, but then it's going to make simplifying it a little bit trickier. But again, you need that same denominator in order to add or subtract fractions. So all the examples on this first one, they already have the common denominator. So this is 1/8 plus 3/8. All you do is the stuff in the numerator. 1 plus 3 is 4. You don't change the denominator when you're adding or subtracting. So then we have 4/8. Always check if you can simplify it. What goes into 4 and 8? 4. 4 goes into 4 one time. 4 goes into 8 two times. So 1/2. On B, the denominator is x for both of them, so we can just do the numerator. 9 minus 7 is 2. We keep the denominator. You can't simplify 2 over x anymore. Thank you, thank you. The crowd cheers, the crowd cheers. All right, 3 sevenths plus 1 seventh. They're all sevenths. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 sevenths. Can't simplify anymore. 2 over k plus 3 over k. 2 plus 3 is 5 over k. Can't simplify that anymore. 7 tenths minus 3 tenths. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 and 10 are both even, so we could chop them in half. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And 11 wifths plus negative 5 wifths. 11 minus 5, that's what you're doing when you're adding a negative. 11 minus 5 is 6, 6 over y. Great. Now we're going to bring in some where they don't have the same denominator. Ooh. Let me show you a method you can use. I saw it online once. It's called like the butterfly method or something. It's cute, it's fun, it's something you can always do. So you're going to multiply the denominator here with the numerator over there. So 8 times negative 5 would be negative 40. You're going to multiply this with that. 6 times 1 is 6. And then for the denominator, you just go across. So 8 times 6 is 48. So that's one method you could do. Always multiply the denominator from one to the numerator of the other, and then just multiply the two denominators to get that common denominator. So 6 plus negative 40 would be negative 34. We keep the 48. These are both even, so we could divide them by 2. Negative 17 over 24. And there's nothing else in common there. So that is one way that you can do it. Another way is figure out what is the smallest number 8 and 6 can go into, and that would be 24. So to get to 24, you'd have to do 8 times 3, but if you do that in the denominator, you have to do that in the numerator as well. 3 times 1 is 3, so it would be 3 24ths minus 6 times 4 is 24, so we'd have to do 5 times 4, which is 20. Now we have 3 minus 20 is negative 17 24ths. Same answer. And It's just a matter of preference of which way you would like to do it. I personally like getting the smaller numbers first because then it makes it easier for me to simplify later. So like here we have the same denominators, 8 and 6. So I know that they both go into 24. It's 8 times 3. So we have to multiply 3 up top. 3 times 1 is 3. Over here we have to multiply by 4. 5x times 4 is 20x. Now 3 and negative 20x are unlike terms, so you can't combine them, but we're going to write this as a single fraction. We'll write 3 minus 20x over 24. Since both of their denominators were 24, we're going to put it as one fraction. And I guess standard form would say that you'd want to put your x's first, so you could also write it as negative 20x plus 3 over 24. That would just be a different way to write it, and honestly probably the better way to write it, because you should write your x's first. So we got a few here to try. 3 and 5, both go into 15. So we'll have to multiply by 5, 5 times 2 is 10. Here we'll have to multiply by 3 and 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 10 fifteenths minus 3 fifteenths leaves you with 7 fifteenths. You can't simplify that anymore. All right, here we have the denominators 8 and 4. 4 goes into 8, so we don't even have to change this first fraction, negative 7 over 8. Second one we'll have to multiply by 2, so we'll have 6 over 8. Negative 7 plus 6 is negative 1 over 8. Here our denominators are 7 and m. So the first fraction needs an m. The second fraction needs a 7. 3 times m is 3m, so we have 3m over 7m minus 2 times 7 is 14. M times 7 is 7m. Now they are both the same denominator. We can't combine 3m and 14 though because they're unlike terms, so we just write them next to each other. 3m, what's going on? Oh, there we go. 3m minus 14 over 7m. That would be our final answer. Now we're going to bring in some mixed numbers. Suppose you hiked 2 2/3 miles near Mount Shasta, and then another 1 3/4 miles to your campsite. How far did you hike in all? So we're going to have to add these up. And I'll show you a couple methods you can do. And then choose your own adventure, whichever way you like. So one way is to turn them both into improper fractions and then convert your final answer back into mixed numbers. So if they're giving you mixed numbers in the initial problem, for your answer, you should give them back a mixed number. If they're giving you improper fractions in the problem, then give them back an improper answer. So to go improper, remember you take the denominator, you multiply it by the big boy. 3 times 2 is 6, and then you add whatever's up top. So 6 plus 2 would be 8. So this would be 8/3 plus 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So plus 7/4. Now we got to get that common denominator, which could be 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 4 is 32. Over here, 4 times 3, 7 times 3, 21 over 12. 32 plus 21 is 53 over 12. And then this gets a little tougher because then you have to figure out how many 12s can go into 53. And the answer is 4, because 4 times 12 is 48. Now, how could you figure that out in your calculator? You could do 53 divided by 12, and it'll tell you 4 point something. So we know 4 is going to be the large number in front. And then you can just do 4 times 12, 48, and 53 minus the 48, leave you with 5. So that's one method that you can do it. Let me show you another method. Keep them as mixed numbers, but get that common denominator, which would have to be 12. So the first fraction we'd have to multiply by 4 and 4, so it would be 2 and 8/12. Second fraction we'd have to multiply by 3, So it'd be 1 and 9/12. Now we add the big boy numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. We add the fractions. 8/12 plus 9/12 would be 17/12. Now that doesn't work for us because you can't have a mixed number and an improper fraction. So we're going to take another whole out of that, which would be 12/12. So we'll make it 4. And we took away 12 from that 17. So 17 minus 12 leaves you with 5 leftovers. So 4 and 5/12 miles, and we got 4 and 5/12 the other way. Do it however you'd like. Sometimes when you're doing subtraction, the improper way could be a little bit easier, and maybe something like that will happen. But I'm going to try to do all of these kind of the way we did it, keeping them mixed numbers. But we got to get that same denominator. So this would have to be eighths. So times 2 times 2. So it'd be 5 and 6/8 plus 7/8. So we have 5, and then 6/8 plus 7/8 would be 13/8. Now, 13 is larger than 8, so we're going to make another whole. We're going to bump 5 up to 6, and then 13 minus 8 would be 5. So you're left with 5/8. 6 and 5/8. Common denominator here could be sixths. So times 2 times 2. So it'd be 5 and 4/6 minus 3 and 1/6. If we do the large numbers, 5 minus 3 is 2. 4/6 minus 1/6 would be 3/6. And then you can simplify 3/6 to 1/2. So we'll have 2 and a half. 2 and 3/8 plus 7/8. They're already eighths, so it'd be 2 and 10/8. Now, 10 is larger than 8, so we can bump it to 3. 10 minus 8 would be 2, so 3 and 2/8, which those are both even, so you can divide them both by 2, leaving you with 3 and 1/4. So kind of a lot of steps to remember. The recipe for punch calls for 1.5 quarts of orange juice, 1 1/4 quart of ginger ale, and 3/4 quart of cranberry juice. How many quarts of punch will the recipe make? We're going to have to add all of these. 1.5 plus 1 1/4 plus 3/4. Now, you could get them all to fourths, but I see something here. 1 1/4 plus 3/4. If we just do that, that would be 1 4/4. 4/4 is another whole. So really, those two add up to 2 quarts. And then that's really easy to add 1.5 to. 1.5 plus 2 would just be 3.5. And that's the final answer here. If you converted them all to fourths, that would be fine too. So it'd be 1 2/4 plus 1 1/4 plus 3/4. Adding the big boys, you have 1 plus 1 is 2. For the fourths, you have 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 2 6/4 would be made into 3 2/4, which would simplify to 3.5 as well. So 2 different ways you can get that same answer. If you can recognize a pattern or like a pair, kind of like the associative property and commutative property, it might make your life a little bit easier. So that's it for this section of notes. Well done.